no way, this is so uncool. I won't be able to wear my skirt this short, you know, and it's all about me. I'm so stressed out because I've got to go and live with Nana and Papa. And I love them, but they're very, very old school. Anyway, so we go and we stay there, and Mum's sick, so she's in hospital and they're doing tests and they're trying to work out what's wrong with her, and eventually it comes back she's got leukemia. So it was pretty devastating at the time because Mum had to go up to Sydney to have a bone marrow transplant because in those days, it was 100 years ago, they didn't do bone marrow transplants in Melbourne, they only did them in London and in Sydney. So Mum went up there and we were farmed out between friends, family, whoever could look after us as children. We were just set there. And it was you know, it was pretty tough because you're always having to, you know, live in different conditions. But it's given me a lot of skills as well with getting on with people and being able to walk into a room or anywhere and make myself feel comfortable, which is a positive thing. Anyway, Mum had the transplant. She came home and it looked like it had taken, but it didn't. And 2 days after my 14th birthday, she passed away. And I still get upset. But I'm telling you this story not so that you will feel sorry for me. I'm telling you this story because I think everyone has adversity in their lives. You just look at, you know, Wayne's patient, Donnie Elgin. I mean, gosh, what he's been through is unbelievable. And we all know people that have had things that have happened to them. And one of my friends says to me, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it. Now, I could have used that as a reason not to move on and try and make myself a better person and try and get the best results out of myself. And people would have understood. I mean, they would have. I mean, and too many times in society, things happen and people go, oh, well, I punched my son because my dad punched me. But that's just an excuse. Or, you know, I've got a friend and something bad happened to her, so now every night she drinks a bottle of wine and doesn't ring anyone. That's her story. So rather than using my mum and dad's story as a reason not to try and better myself, I've used it as a reason to try and improve myself in all areas, whether it's running or with my art world or with the family. So I guess I'm just sharing that with you so that when you leave here, you can think about, am I really getting some, you know, am I getting some results here, or am I using reasons why I'm not? So that's the first thing. Now the second thing we were going to talk about was the power of focus, and all about how to tap into our unconscious mind. So what I brought with me today is two boards here, and these are what I call visual boards. And I made this visual board over 10 years ago, so it's pretty old. And everything on this board that's here I had not done, except obviously this little picture here, because this is my family at the time. The kids were a lot younger. And I put this here in the middle because that to me is the most important thing, my family. And that's the centre. Without that, although this wouldn't probably happen, it's like a support thing. So the unconscious mind, as we were talking about, is where all power happens and where all change can happen. If you consciously say to yourself, I would like to change something in my life, it's not going to be as powerful as if you tap into the unconscious mind. Does everyone here know the difference between the conscious and the unconscious mind? I'll just give you a little quick rundown before I go through this, because until you know what I'm talking about, you might go, oh, why do I need to do this? I'll pop this down for a second and I'll go through. The unconscious mind is the part of the mind that has your heart beating. It does all, you know, it moves all the blood through your body. You don't consciously think to your heart beat, it just does it. Your conscious mind is the part of your mind that is always thinking, and it's logical, and it's normally full of fear, worry and doubt. It's like that little, you know, the little man on your shoulder that's saying to you, no, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. Does anyone watch the football show? Occasionally I watch it because my husband watches the football show. It's a very boy thing. But I remember once, years ago, Billy Brownless came on the football show, and he, you know, he plays football for Geelong, and he was he used to kick the goals. And he said one day he was on the ground and everyone's around him, you know, it's on television, everything like that. He's going for goal and the little man's on his shoulder going, you can't do that, you're not going to kick it, you're going to miss it, you're going to miss it. And he turned around and he said, shut that F up! And all the other players are just looking around and going, oh my God, what is wrong with him? He's crazy. But what he was doing was he was shutting off the conscious mind. So the best way to get changes is to actually shut that voice off, that little person that's on your shoulder telling you can't do it, because there's no power there. What we need to do is tap into the unconscious mind. And there's a story that I heard not long ago. It's like a kind of a bit of a Zen story, and it's the difference between the conscious and the unconscious mind, and I'll quickly just share it with you. And while I'm telling you the story, try and work out who the conscious mind is in the story and who the unconscious mind is in the story. So there was a farmer, and he was a very poor farmer, and everyone in the village was very poor. But this farmer, he had a horse. And everyone in the farm, all the other farmers said to the farmer, "You're very fortunate, you've got a horse." And he said, "Yes." But one day, his horse ran away. And all the other farmers in the village said to him, "Oh my gosh, this is so unfortunate. You've lost your horse." And he said, "Maybe." 2 days later, the horse came back to the farm with 2 wild horses. And now the farmer has 3 horses. And all the other farmers in the village say, "Wow, you're really lucky. You've now got 3 horses." And he says, "Maybe." The next day, his son is riding one of the wild horses, and he falls, and he breaks his leg. And the other farmers say, "That wasn't very good. That's very unfortunate. Your son's broken his leg." And he said, "Maybe." You wouldn't believe it. The next week, men came through the city, recruiting men for war. And they bypassed the farmer's son because he had a broken leg. And the other farmers said to the farmer, "You were very lucky. Your son didn't get picked for war." And he said, "Maybe." Now, I could keep going here. But you're getting the gist of the story. Who do you think the unconscious mind is in the story, and who do you think the conscious mind is?
I think the farmers would be conscious mind.
That's it. Perfect. You're good looking and smart. So, well done, Tikia. So I'm just sharing this story with you because the conscious mind is always judging, it's always worrying, and what we need to do to get lasting results is shut that down. And how you do that is the unconscious mind loves repetition. It loves repetition through the use of affirmations, and it loves visuals, it loves symbols. So when I made this visual board, I hadn't studied any of these things, but I read a million books about this stuff. So I was like, right, I'm going to go and do a visual board. And 10 years ago I made the visual board, and here it is. And I put on this board, first of all, that I wanted to be a podium finisher at the Suzanne's Women's Fun Run. And at the time that was like so prestigious. And since then, I have been on the podium of the Suzanne Women's Fun Run. And the funny thing is that when I made this board up, I didn't know these girls, didn't know them. I knew who they were because they were like famous to me. And this girl here, she just won the silver medal at the Commonwealth Games for the marathon, and her name's Lisa Dick. Well, since then, I've stayed with her at Falls Creek at training camps. I've raced her, and I've even beaten her a few times. So I look at that and I go, wow, you know, for me to do that, it was pretty amazing. So I put that on there. The second thing I put on here is a picture of a house in Brighton overlooking the Brighton bars. Now, when I made this board, I was living in Baldwin, nowhere near Brighton, and I always wanted to live down Bayside. Now, since then, we've moved, we're about 3 kilometres from this house. I know this house. It wasn't so much the house that I liked, it was more where it was and the water. And I run along here every day. There's a little path, and there's the sea bars. So when I go past, I give it a little wave, and you're still on my board.
That's Andrew's house, isn't she?
Oh, I know. Well done, Andrew. So, and you've got to remember, 10 years ago, we just lost a lot of money and had to sell our home, and we were renting in Baldwin. So and now we're living in a beautiful home in Hampton. And the thing about our home is, I used this when I bought our home, is I wrote down a list of things that I wanted in a home. I wanted to be by the beach, I wanted to be a vegetable gardens, I wanted a pool, but I wanted the studio overlooking the pool. I wanted little gardens coming into the house, I wanted really high ceilings, I wanted lots of light, I wanted white walls, I wanted a fireplace.